Hello, I'm FBX and welcome back to the video. Today I want to take an in-depth dive into item vanishing in Minecraft. This is one of those really serious issues in the game that comes up all the time. It's really important to know about, but most people don't know the truth about how long it takes for an item to vanish in Minecraft, what makes an item vanish, or anything like that. Because if you are someone like, oh, how long do you have to get your stuff? People give you wildly varying estimates from 2 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 20 minutes, and it just never makes sense. People give you different numbers, and the truth behind it is it actually depends on a bunch of factors. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you the in-depth look into what makes an item disappear and how you can use this to never lose stuff when you die again, and also to abuse these mechanics to do some weird item transportation that you might not have otherwise figured. So hopefully you do enjoy it. Like if you do like the Minecraft in-depth videos and want to keep on seeing these deep dives into features that, again, it's really important that we know about, but that aren't necessarily covered too well and that isn't necessarily given out there with proof. Again, the number of numbers I've seen for this one is kind of complex, but now as of this video, as of the research for it, I don't believe I'm going to lose stuff again, and hopefully you won't either. So let's start by what makes an item vanish besides just being left alone, because there's quite a few things that, again, you're probably aware of, but just in case you're not, you can throw any block in the game against cacti and they will vanish. By the way, I'm going to be using grass blocks as my example of any item in the game, but this applies to, you know, any item, any block, anything that can be placed on the ground and that goes 3D like this. So, you know, a sword, etc. But yeah, you can also place blocks into lava, for instance, and they will burn in there. You probably do know this one also, but you can have blocks go onto fire. And then the one a lot of people forget until it happens is that having an explosion happen will also destroy blocks too. So we grab ourselves some TNT. I'm going to use my little safe place over here for it. But as you can see, we detonate the TNT, like that, and then we throw a block at it, and the blocks will be destroyed if they're close enough to the explosion. So yeah, there you go. There are the ways you can destroy blocks in Minecraft. There's a few other weird ones, like throwing them off the end, and surprisingly enough, a couple of ways that you would figure would kill them, but doesn't, is throwing them onto magma. As you can see, the block survives just fine, and also suffocating a block. So if we place a block, 2-block hole, and then we throw some dirt in it, and then we fill up the hole, just like this, as you can see, the blocks just go to the surface. So yeah, you can't suffocate blocks, but you can burn them, you can explode them, you can pour them in lava, and you can throw them against the cacti, oddly enough, and you can also throw them off the edge of the world, but those are most of the major ways you can get rid of them. So now let's talk about the other way, the way which isn't so instantly gratifying as all of those ones, which is leaving the item alone, because as you can see, if we leave the item, although a certain range, it stops existing to us, even from here, if we left that item alone, it would eventually vanish. What is the time on that, you might ask, and I did the exact science behind this one, and on all Minecraft versions, which is, again, it's important we test all Minecraft versions, it takes exactly 300 seconds or 5 minutes till it disappears. So again, I can show you the Bedrock version having that happen and the console edition. Exactly the same thing on both versions, because this is a Minecraft game mechanic which is really, really solid. However, again, you've heard your friends say, no, it takes 8 minutes or it takes 10 minutes. You hear people all the time say it takes longer than that. So what's the deal with that? So I decided to test also leaving a block alone out of my render distance for more than 5 minutes. And what do you know? When I got back after half an hour, the block was still there. I decided to test even longer, and I did like 8 hours. And no matter how long you wait, as long as you're outside the render distance. So like if that block over there, if I just go, for instance, 22 chunks or further this way, to the point where it's not loaded into the game, then that, the 5-minute timer stops while I'm outside the chunks, because again, nothing in those chunks is loaded in, and that includes the block. And this is really interesting, because then this means that your render distance effectively determines how far away you can have blocks. It determines how far away items will start to spawn at, which means you can kind of abuse that to your advantages as well. And also, because it's 22 chunks away, or whatever your number of chunks away is, it means when you die, if you're not near the stuff, you don't really have to worry about it until you do get near it. So that means you have time to cool off. But if you are near your stuff when you die, you have to start going to it immediately, because no matter where you are, even if it's underground and it's the full, 22 chunks away, that timer has started and you need to work on it immediately. It has to be going right now. And there you go. That's how you stop stuff from dying. It takes exactly 5 minutes, not widely known about. But I didn't just come here today to tell you that it takes 5 minutes to despawn something, although that is a useful fact. Now we can sell that one. Again, I've proven it a couple of times, and now we know without any shadow of a doubt, it takes 5 minutes. But what we can do is we can start to learn how to abuse that. So first of all, the easiest way to abuse that fact is that, like, oh, well, when you die, turn down your render distance immediately, and then, like, if you turn down to, like, I think on the PC, you can go down to 4 chunks. On the Bedrock version, you can go down to between 4 and 8 chunks, depending on your platform. But basically, turn down your chunks to the minimum number necessary, and then that you can get to, and as long as you know your world to get back to where your stuff was, it will have the minimum chance of despawning, because it's not simulated in your world. So there you go. Fun fact, you can use that to your advantage. The simulation distance, exactly the same thing. Turn that down, lower the chances of it being loaded in, and that way your timer will not start until you get really close. Gives you the best odds, gives you some really serious opportunities to do that. And this also means that, for instance, if you save the game and then leave it and then come back, as long as you save the game in a place where you can't, like, again, if you save it more than 8 chunks away, if you're on the lowest rend distance, or if you save it more than your rend distance away from the block, you can leave those items in there indefinitely. And this is really interesting because then this also applies to the nether and the end. Because of course, right now, as you can probably work out, I'm not in the nether. No one in my game is in. Oh, it's also worth mentioning, yeah, this applies to other people. But yeah, I'm not in the nether. No one in my game is in the nether. No one in my game is in the end, which means both these dimensions are not loaded in. So for instance, if I say left something in there, that same item would still be available to the safe. So if I leave a grass block right here and then come back for it in 10 minutes, it will still be there. So if you're playing a solo survival world, you can leave items on the ground, or if you die in the nether in a solo survival world, you can leave it in the nether as long as you don't go there, as long as you don't cause it to have any, basically as long as you avoid the nether, you can avoid any of the issues that would be associated with going there, because your stuff will not be able to despawn, which is pretty wacky when you think about it, because then that means that you can use the nether as kind of a way to transport stuff, because I've shown you how to abuse nether portal with people before, but you can also abuse it with stuff. If you have 2 portals linking to the same place, you can just put your stuff in there and then collect it later. It's kind of like a storage facility when you think about it that way, and isn't this kind of cool, like seeing it go in there? But this also works with the end. The end is a lot more effective because all of the end portals in your world go to the same place, which means if you're, let's say, mining and you need to get rid of your stuff, but take it somewhere close to your base, throw it into your end portal, which you can do quite easily, as you can see. So let's just throw in some stuff in there. I think we've already got some stuff thrown into the end. As you can see, we jump in there, and all of the stuff I threw in there is now here for me. And once I defeat the Ender Dragon, which right now, because of reasons to do with the whole defeat the End thing, as soon as we defeat the Ender Dragon, then we would be able to go back to my bed with all of that stuff we just picked up. We can do this multiple times, and as long as we spend as little time as possible in the end, then we can do it that way. So yeah, we're gonna just jump off the end for it. Oh, actually, before we jump off the end, I want to show off one more cool tip, because again, it's really great that you can just store stuff in other dimensions, and it will never despawn as long as you or no one in your game or nothing in the game is counting that. But one thing I wanted to talk about here is actually to do with the edge of the world, because one of the ways to get rid of blocks, to make them vanish forever, is to throw them off the edge like this. You throw them off the edge, and then it's gone forever. Except it's not quite gone forever. This is really ridiculous, but you can do this. Again, it's really tricky. But if you wanted to like have a party trick, I showed this off in a video maybe like 4 years ago now, so pretty old stuff. But if you throw an end part just the right time, and then you throw something off the edge, you can actually jump and try and grab the item, and then the end part will land just in time. Mine missed, but you can you can actually save yourself. And it's one of the coolest little things to do as like a test of yourself, because you will actually fall faster than items, which means if you throw an item off something, you can save the item and then grab yourself. Exactly why do items fall slower than you? I don't know for certain, but it is a thing that happens. So finally, before we end this video, so you know now that 5 minutes is your timer. It stops the moment you get away from it, and it stops if you're in a different dimension. But we also know there's a way to destroy items, which only works in Minecraft console, and it's a performance limitation. You'll never come across this naturally, but it's something worth knowing if, like me, you like to break the game, or if you have a lot of items on the floor at all times, because if a creeper comes into your chest room and explodes it, you need to be very, very careful with those items, because there is a max number of items that can be on the ground in your world at once. So yeah, this means that, let's say, hypothetically, purely here, let's say you had a bunch of items that were just lying on the floor because you like to break Minecraft. That's just your thing. Then as you can see right here, did you just see that? A bunch of blocks went missing, and those ones like stuck in the air right there. But as you can see right here, every time we break a block, some previous blocks are going missing. This is because there is a max number of blocks that can exist on the floor in Minecraft console. It's something, like 64 stacks or something. Like, it's something like 100 stacks. Like, it's in the region of like the double digits / low triple digits, but there is a max number of blocks that can be on the floor. So if you don't want your blocks to disappear, as you're seeing is happen right here, like you can just see, like they're not going to me. I don't have any of these blocks. Then that's what you have to do. Also, as you can see, the blocks have their own like kind of physics things, so things get pretty weird if you break them messed up. Oh, then that went flying towards me. So yeah, basically, if you want to make sure blocks don't despawn, stay away from them, but also don't place too many blocks on the floor. This isn't a concern on Bedrock yet. It's not a concern on Java yet. Both those platforms will let you, again, have as many items on the floor as you like, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but is a thing that does happen. But there you can see, you can't have too many items on the floor because it causes performance issues, and because you're only doing this to cause performance issues most of the time, the game decides there is a max number of blocks that can be on the floor, and it's around 100 stacks. So yeah, watch out for that. You can't ever have more than 100 stuff in your time, but if you die with a full inventory, and your friend dies with a full inventory, and you have 2 more friends that all die, one of you is going to lose your stuff, which depends on who dies first. So, I don't know, just something interesting you might not have figured before just now. It's not something most people do think about very often, but it is something that's worth knowing about, because you might just regret it otherwise. I want to, hopefully, if we throw these around the place, because your stacks, by the way, fun fact, will try to combine with each other if they can. Like, even if they're nowhere near each other, they'll slowly just kind of peek into each other. So there you go, fun fact. But as you can see, they kind of like land into each other. even if they're not quite necessarily close to each other. But yeah, also it's worth knowing about that, yeah, if you have too many stacks, things will go badly, and you don't want that. And yeah, now you know some stuff about stacks in Minecraft. Now you know how to abuse it. Now you know how to avoid losing it when you're dying. And I hope you all enjoyed this Minecraft in-depth video. It's been a really long time since I made one, and I'd like to get back to more of these, covering some of the other weird, vague topics, especially after the updated Quadtic. So make sure you subscribe, notifications turned on, because when the updated Quadtic comes out, I have a mega video day planned. So if you want to see all the crazy new mechanics, make sure you subscribe, notifications turned on to see that mega video day, because, you know, lots and lots of videos.